So I'm going to try to show you how to change your strings on your violin. Strings I got are Red Label Violin 4/4 medium gauge. Strings that were on here are dominant. Different strings, different brands are going to react differently with different instruments. This is my teaching, my online teaching instrument. So I've got stickers and all kinds of things on here. It gets banged around a lot because of just the nature of teaching online. Trying to get close to the camera, trying to show all kind of angles that maybe, well, you would naturally see in person. So it gets knocked around a good bit. But it's now time to change our strings. So first things first is figuring out what strings go where, right? So you have your E, A, D, G. E is the thinnest string and G being the thickest string. So the lower strings are going to be thicker, right? But luckily in our back of our Red Label package, we have a color chart here, okay? So E is going to be our highest, our red is going to be our highest string, E, the thinnest one, right? So these come rolled up, but I've already unraveled them a bit. But you might see these little tubes here on the strings. Be careful to kind of try to leave those on there, but we'll talk about those in just a minute. But try not to lose them, right? Because they'll come right off. Ignore the puppy. He's a puppy, I promise. He's 8 months. Okay. All right, so what we want to do is we don't want to just simply take off all of our strings, right? That's a big, big no-no. Don't do that, right? You're just going to rip them all off and then put new ones on. No, we're going to do one at a time, okay? The reason why we don't want to do that is because then you're going to knock your bridge down, and that might move your sound post inside your instrument. So that might be another thing that you might want to think about doing, is checking to make sure that you do have your sound post. Every so often, I always ask all my students about their sound post, right? That's the first thing we do before we start our lessons, that sound post. And unfortunately, I have, so far, I've caught 2 students who maybe they got their instrument online or got it from a friend or something like that. And, well, the sound post was gone. It was missing. So immediately we had to stop. So again, everything's put together with pressure. So if the strings are kind of holding the bridge in place, and the bridge is kind of holding that sound post in a way, kind of balancing that there, and sometimes it can move. Okay, so we don't really want to disturb all of that, right? The best that we can. So one string at a time. All right, so first thing you want to do is you want to find your peg, which one you want to take off. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to, you want to think outsides and insides, right? And so I don't think it matters if we do the outside before the inside or the inside before the outside. Don't think so. But, so that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to go ahead and start with the E string. However, remember, this is kind of disturbing the balance that we're putting onto our bridge, right, with the 2 feet. So we're going to be careful, make sure that nothing wiggles and moves. So our Red Label says red is our E string. So I'm going to grab that peg. So if you follow it all the way up, so you can see I have all these colors. So ignore those colors, are not going to go with the colors of our strings, okay? This is a whole color-coded system that I use for teaching little people. Okay, pull that out. And it's that simple. I just unraveled it, it just pulls right out, no problem. Set it over here aside. If you're curious, these strings were dominant. Right. So what I do is first I try to, I find that the hole, right? So the little hole for our peg. So, well, let me pull it out. That'll make more sense. There it is. Do you see it? There it is. So there is a hole there, and that's where your string is going to go inside there and then turn. So the direction that you turn these strings is very important. One, they need to all be consistent, but also when I'm telling a student how to tighten and loosen their strings, well, they all need to go in the same way, right? So these strings are going to go back, not forward. So you put it inside, and this is kind of a pain, but we're gonna try not to twist it too much and lose it, because I'll show you why. I promise. These ain't much. He's big. Anyway, okay. So it bends, right? So trying to, it's like threading a needle, right? So except for this kind of stays. Now we can bend it back, so that's what I did. I pushed it straight. But you can imagine trying to put a string on that's, well, it's already done all of this, straightening out all of that. So we're going to try to avoid that as much as possible. That's one of the most annoying parts to this. So we're going to thread this through, hold it still, and start twisting. Now remember, I'm twisting back. Whoop. Remember, I'm twisting back, so not forward. And also, the reason why this is taking a little bit more time is these pieces, not pieces, sorry, these spins, right, need to not cross each other, right? Okay, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Now, the reason why I did this first, because, well, I want to shorten the string just enough. What I also did was make sure that this is inside. There's a groove for the nut, so I'm making sure that it's in there, and I'm going to kind of hold it there. See, now we're good. All right, now I can worry about this end. So again, the reason, just to finish that thought, the reason why I went up here first and not here is because this will constantly just fall out. We need to like shorten the string a little bit so that we can even out this tension a bit. So what I'm doing, lift up and get into the camera. Just kind of, I know it's all black, so it's really hard to tell, but I'll do my absolute best. And it just kind of loops in there. Now, honestly, it's actually a little bit easier than the way I just did it, but I was trying to stay in the camera, so I'm going to shorten the string just a little bit more. And you can see, still have a good bit, right? So I'm going to shorten it some more. And again, we want, was twisting around the inside here. We want all of those ideally right next to each other. So mine is not quite right next to each other right now, but it might smush over a little bit more. If we get really close, let's see if the camera will pick up. But my other pegs, these were, so they're nice and put in. They're purple, so it's a little harder to see on camera. But these are a little bit more space than it should be at the moment, but we'll try to fix that. So really what I'm trying to do is make sure that it's not falling here, falling there, and we're just fighting both ends. It's really annoying. Finger is still there. Okay. Now that I have it a little bit shortened, and also it's kind of hard to do it up in the air like this. All right, now we have our little tube. This tube kind of, a lot of strings come with the tube. You may or may not actually even need this, but it does keep the string from going too deep, too far into the instrument, which is important. So now that I'm holding that, you can still see I still got a lot of slack. So I'm going to take some more out. Again, my finger's still here. So here we are. I should have just enough, nope, loosen it a little bit. Just enough to put that tube up onto the bridge. Nope, loosen it a little bit more. Ta-da! See that? Now the tube is sitting on the bridge. You want to constantly check and make sure that your bridge is not moved, everything's good. Obviously we need to tighten a little bit because remember we want to, even though we're not tuning yet, we want to make sure that our pressure is good. While we're twisting, especially these cheaper instruments, so I know there's a lot of online instruments at the moment. These cheaper instruments will, sorry, there's a little bit of thread over here, which is actually not a very good sign. Probably because my finger was there. Let's see. Anyway, it seems like the rest of the string is good and intact, but there was, see if you can see it. See that little piece? Yeah, probably because my finger was holding it so tightly, and it kind of took off some of that threading there, so I pushed it back up and over and back and over the nut of the instrument because it was right here, so I pushed it back over there. We need to, again, cheaper instruments, we need to make sure that we're pushing it into the instrument. And I actually tell my students, you need to take these strings and point them away from your face. Because of the way we have to move these pegs here, they don't just simply move very well like a good violin should. These we have to kind of move over here. So what we do is we stabilize the neck of our instrument because it could fall off, right? You could knock it right off, so it's important. Stabilize, I say elbows up, because it helps us get a little bit more control than just doing like this. A lot of students do that. Go start here like that, and it's just not going to work. Okay, so we did the E string. Now we're going to do the other side. We're going to do the G string. Again, these cheaper instruments in the pegs, they stick and all kinds of different things, but it's just not very, it's not very good. But for someone who, I mean, if you don't have music in the house, right? You don't have people who are in your home playing instrument, so you're completely foreign to this. If you know, you're a little kid or you have a little kid, 6 or so, you have no idea what they actually like, right? You're just trying to figure something out, right? And I actually do suggest an online instrument, something cheap, something you can throw away. And I know you hear a lot of people say online instruments, oh no, but if they're not good enough, they're not going to sound good anyway, and they're going to want to quit. I don't find that to be the case at all. All right, so my G string is green. And your colors may not match up with this. So these are the colors that match up with this brand. And so this one's green. We'll do the same thing, twisting it up. This should go a tad bit faster since I'm not trying to worry about doing any steps or anything. Same thing. Keeping the pressure, stabilizing that pressure. Because we did the E string, now we're doing the G string. So that's the other side. Now some of these colors actually kind of match up with my color system that I have that I teach my little ones with. So G is green, right? Which sounds right, right? Oh, this brand is also green. My other, let's see, my dominance. Well, my E string was a different brand. I can't remember what the E string was actually. Tonica, I think. But all of them were purple. So my E string was green. That was Tonica. And then my dominants are all purple. So not all of them have this color system, and they might be instead colored differently here. Whereas these red label, they're going to be all red down here, and then the colors are up there instead. So the color coding would be up there instead. Whereas it looks like down here, these are still the two old dominants, and their color coding system, I think, would be down here instead. Again, just want to keep everything nice and even. We're not tuning anything. I'm going to break that down in a separate. I'm going to go ahead and take off A. My A is blue, which is nice because that is my same color system that I use. And this one also has the little rubber tubing. And notice everything is going back, goes back. So this is not like the toilet paper debate. It goes back, okay? This isn't our preference here. This is how all of them should go. This makes it consistent. So no accidents with tuning. It's extremely important. It's extremely important. Recently had a student show up who finally need to move their pegs. You don't always need to move your pegs to tune with fine tuners. But he found out he got his strings replaced. He did not change his own strings. He got his strings replaced, or at least one string, that's for sure. And it was not going in the right direction. It went the other way. Luckily, it was something that he picked up on very quickly, that it was tightening. It's extremely important that you don't over tighten your strings. These are coiled up, and you're going to stretch your string out. It's going to be no good. But he caught on very, very quickly that the string was went in under. Now, he didn't bother fixing it just yet. He may decide to do so, but so he just has to remember that that one goes in the opposite direction. But if he ever forgets that, he's going to pop string. So it's so very important. So what I'm doing now is that this is wound it up a little bit too much, so that I can't fit my end of my string onto my fine tuner. So this is what I'm doing. I'm hooking the little ball into the fine tuner. Let's see if I can get there. It is. So it's just you just slide it in there. It's super easy. There we go. Okay. Take it. I'm gonna loop it in there. I might need. Oh gosh. Hopefully I don't need more room. I think we're good though. Oh, I need more room. Okay. I think I got excited that it was just like lining up all next to each other perfectly. I wanted to keep seeing it, keep going. Okay, I'm gonna have to put this on my table and grab it underneath. Yeah, okay. So what I did was, well, I can undo it. There you go. Okay, so see the little, the fine tuner. I know black was not the perfect color to wear, but right under there. So I'm lifting it up. So I'm going to put my finger up underneath it to lift it up and then lock it in. Boop. Yeah, even though we can't, kind of hard to see that, but there it is. I know, better camera angle. We're going to do the best we can. Okay, so I've gotten that on, and basically I'm going to watch my tension up here so I can hold it in place, because if you don't, that's going to move, right? So I put my little tubing on there and walking it up. I'm just going to tighten it up so everything stays put. Pressure needs to push inward or it's going to unravel, and I think I meant to get to that. I think I may have gotten a little distracted with that comment, but our cheaper instruments, our online instruments, pegs are poor quality. They can be stuck, right? If they do, loosen it, right? So pull it forward. And if you do this away from you, which actually that's the way I suggest, you're going to loosen the string, tighten the string, right? Never by that much, so teeny tiny little movements, because these tune it a lot. So your pegs are mega tuners, and these are fine tuners, which is literally the name, fine tuners. Okay, so these are going to tune it a little bit, very finely, right? But you need to push them inward because they're not sticking, they're not molding to the shape of our scroll. They may unravel, and oh boy, is that annoying. Again, because you'd have to rethread a string that's already coiled up, and that is so annoying. So you want to be careful, not press too hard, but you know, make it stick a little. Now we're going to take off our D string. So last one left, and this one is it's got a gray. It's like it almost looks black for the D string. But anyway, I'll put that on. I actually really like the purple, obviously, the dominant tab. So it actually looked very pretty inside the peg box. But the color is very close to what I use. So my peg box actually matched. See, I've got colors on here. So the green. The only thing is that at D, I use red for the D string, and yellow or orange for the red string. So instead, this one's going to be red for the E string and blackish for the D string. It's like a steel color, but like very, very dark. Again, nice and neat. You do not want these strings to cross over each other. It's really important that they don't, they're not crisscrossing over when you're putting them into your instrument. Again, so I looped it inside. Now I'm going to hold this spot onto the bridge, and I'm going to take the tension and tighten it up so that it stays. So now that it's staying, grab it a little bit. See, I'm pushing in. Again, because these online instruments, they're going to unravel. So, but I am in favor of some online instruments for just trying it out. If they're really interested in the instrument, then they will give this a good go, and then upgrade. I've seen kids drop their instruments. I've seen them break and they crack. I mean, yeah, we don't want to waste money, right? Okay. All nice and neat inside, nothing crisscrossing each other. Do not mix up your pegs. Do not take everything off and put them down, and you're going to get mixed up. Certain pegs go to right? So like G peg goes in with the G string, so you can't just take off G and put it into another peg hole. Don't do that. They go in very particular places, so keep them where they came from, right? So keep them there. You can do peg drops. That'll make them stick a little bit better. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit more later. I'm going to tune this up, and then it will be good to go. Okay. There's my strings. I've got a lovely sticker. I do have a video on how to put the sticker on as well.